we'll just take questions otherwise.
That'd be very easy. Thank you.
Great.
Question?
Thank you, Chair. Just wondering on page 93, who is representing us on the Rocket Lab Research Tourism Opportunities Committee? Is that
Tom Skirman.
It is Tom, thank you. And also note, Chair, on page 90, Councillor Scott, the outgone Councillor Scott has kept her record intact of no decisions overturned in the Environment Court, with PanPac and CPM falling in favour of the Regional Council, which I'm not sure if there's any chairs throughout the country who have a 100% record of surviving Environment Court appeals.
Page 89 at the bottom, land management, also been chosen as a case study for plantation forestry. Can you emphasise a little bit more what that involves?
What they're looking at is just trialling a drone technology to identify and measure the amount of slash left on slopes, and whether or not that will assist in compliance with the proposed national policy for forestry. So it's, I'm not sure the outcome at this stage. I think the drone flying has been done on a PanPac block that has been harvested.
Sounds like having a shower in a raincoat.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I just cheat under the consent section here. I noticed in our weekly consent reports that the mushroom farm has now applied for a consent. Can you give us a few sentences on what their strategy is going to be?
Look, I'm not really in touch with exactly where that's at, other than so they've met their requirement, the Environment Court requirements. They've submitted a draft which we gave them comment back on, which the comment back on their draft proposal was reasonably direct in terms of our expectations, and the initial proposal probably wasn't going to meet them. There were good constructive discussions with the consultant on behalf of Tomato Mushrooms in the intervening period before the consent was lodged on or about the 20th of December last year, and I haven't caught up with the team to see where it's at in the process. But what we could do is bring back an update to a committee meeting later in the year. I'm sure Leanne will get that as an action or a follow-up.
Thank you, Chair. I'll probably cover my minor item here on page 92, the Whakaki Lake Trust. There's new trustees up there, and there is a meeting pending up there. Just wondering if Mr. Adey could tell us roughly when that was going to be, and that would tidy my thing up.
11th March.
11th
Saturday
March,
the 11th of March. I think it's probably early afternoon, for where they are asking that we come along.
The new chair, Richard Brooking, is a class act, so high hopes for.
The first time I viewed it was here, so I wondered what we're doing to help raise publicity. That's a number of things that we want: increased patronage and also reducing carbon footprint.
Can I just? There's been huge response on social media to that, positive response. I have, especially in Napier News. It's been bulk, hundreds of comments on it, positive.
Or, I know it's not Hogan seeks to establish an asphalt plant indoor industrial area. I thought we were trying to make indoor area some sort of recreational kind of place, so swimming, triathlons, recreation, sorry. No, it's just an excellent plant in the middle of this. It just... Smelly places. What is sitting outside of it? Latte, and the smell of all the ash got wafted all over you.
It is a consent application and it has been notified, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of latte drinkers that'll share that view and we'll hear from them.
I just got 68, that Matariki program manager. I never understood that Matariki, we were going to appoint a program manager there. Is that jointly funded? Is someone going to be in charge of delivering that?
Yes, so the program manager has been appointed. He's started, he's domiciled at the business hub in Ahuriri, jointly funded between the councils, but he's an employee of us. He's reporting to me for pay and rations, but reporting more substantially through the governance group. Of Alistair King, Dr. Alistair King from Havelock North, long history in the food and beverage sector.
Questions? We're going to move up to seconder. Do you wish to speak? Do you wish to speak? Okay. Anyone else wish to speak? Except a very good job. It's a huge program we got on. All those in favour? Aye. Against? It's carried. We just at those late items. We're not going to get into. Just close the page. You think?
Just remind me, it was ACC.
One of the late items was that
Chairman's report.
and the ACC. So I think we've thrashed the ACC thing. So we'll leave that. And so the other item, with Chairman's report, you will have all read it. Busy time, of course. Not so busy, really. Is there any comment or questions to me on my activities over that period of time? I better find it.
Well, I'm hoping for a ripping read, Chair. I wanted a bit of commentary, a few purple phrases, a bit of high-rising rhetoric, and I found bare bones. I look forward to the next one.
I thought, Councillor, you'd have enough ripping commentary on my last report, and I would just give you bare bones.
Need to get used to it, Chair. He said that to me for 3 years.
I suppose the most interesting, it was a quiet month, but there has been some interesting things, and I just would like to comment on a couple. One, I went to Wairoa for a day with Hanari O'Keefe and Paul Bailey. Unfortunately, Fenton was docking at the time and couldn't join us, but we had a pretty or running in cattle or something. I've forgotten what the reason was. But we had a great day in Wairoa, and we toured with the... would you please concentrate? You abused me 1 minute, and now I'm giving you the verbal report. We had a great... Yeah, we had a great day in Wairoa with the Mayor, and met quite a few of his council members, so it was pretty good. We stayed overnight in Wairoa, and we went to the opening of the Tūhoi building in the Urueras, and that was pretty good as well. So it was a really good day, just 2 days just before Christmas. The other thing is, in terms of Ahawea Park, we have 4 maraes there, and they are not agreeing on how they approach the park, especially the name. So I met with Ngātai Huata, and she's doing what is a new thing. I think it's a whare. Anyway, I'll get the name wrong. But it essentially is they gather for 2 days and they appoint adjudicators. And they've got some quite serious adjudicators in this instance. And they thrash it out for 2 days, and then they'll come to us with their resolution. I'm just hoping that will work, because there's been some frustration in our staff that we haven't been able to get on with things, and I'm hoping that'll work. The same for Lake Tutera. I've went to the presentation at Tongaoi when they presented the land back to us, and spoke about the lake. It's our staff and dock staff have been hugely frustrated because the owners of the lake don't talk to each other, and I've given them a very clear message that they need to start talking to each other. They own the lake, they're guardians of the lake, and they need to cooperate so they can cooperate with us, the rest of the community who are desperate to help fix the lake. So there has been, Councillor Bailey also attended me there as well. There's no other questions? I thought I'd get... Yeah, I know. I was waiting for that. So I do a lot of things that aren't related, but I thought that one was related. It was free. Councillor Bevan. Thank you. Seconder. Councillor Hewitt. All those in favour? Aye. Against? It's passed. The Chairman's report. Now we'll just go to minor items not on the agenda, and that you will let us. We had one from Councillor Barker.
I've already had the what I thought was a reasonably well-worn joke about the retreat, but I use the word retreat because that's what people normally refer to these things as. It's not about shrinking or going back from things, Fenton. It's about trying to think about where we go forward. And I think it would be well worthwhile councillors spending some time together away from the papers and so on, to have a freewheeling discussion about what it is that we would like to see achieved, how we'd like to do that in the upcoming 3 years. Too often we are driven by the agenda, too often we're driven by papers and processes. And I just think councillors will spend half a day, maybe a day, somewhere we've been like the Green Shed or something like that, pretty informal, and just to have some thinking about it. I know that we've got a strategic planning stream coming and other pieces of paper coming, but the problem with those things for me is they put you on a set of rails and you follow that set of rails. I just think it'll be time for us to sit down and say, what are the big issues for us? What do we think we would like to achieve? How we'd like to go about it, and then have a pretty fuzzy plan at the end of it, but then do some work over the next few months to draw it together, and it can become our guiding plan for the next our work for the next 3 years. I think it would be really helpful. We've got some new councillors, new ideas. Councillors like myself have been here for 3 years, have learnt quite a bit, and I'd like to now sort of move on with the next thing. So that was my idea, and I was hopeful the chair might come back with a paper to the next meeting with a recommendation on that as to the timing, the sequence of it, and how he thought this should work.
Chair was focused on quite a few other things actually, but I'm sure it was incredibly relevant. I've noted it in the minutes and I'll read them later, Rick. So you're fine with that?
You've got a job, Rex.
Yeah.
I think it's, you've got a job.
I have to I noticed I got a job. What was the other item? And I'll concentrate this time.
And I just want to say to councillors, remember this, if he ever accuses me of not
Concentrating.
concentrating on the meeting, we'll all go, well,
Who was the next one?
Fenton.
Oh, Fenton had one. Whakakī. I don't think you really did cover it as well as you might.
Righto. So we met here, if that's the wish of the chair, we met here with Ngā Whenua Rāhui, Richard Brooking, and I can't think of his offsider's name, there you go, new trustee. They haven't been sworn in yet at the Māori Land Court. They're hoping to have that done in the next fortnight. The issue up there, of course, is it's blocked. Farmland is going underwater. In fact, there's one farm there, they reckon only 30% of it is available. The rest is underwater. Some grumpy cockies, phones running red hot, both at home and elsewhere. But they've got to deal with their appointment before they can deal with the issues. The encouraging thing for me was the welcoming nature of us being a part of it, our scientists, etc. I note, and I wasn't part of it, but I see there was a recent meeting of the minds there just to outline some of the issues, etc. We're not sure how, it's not an easy fix. The Rāhui, which is the channel which now the lake is let go through, every now and again it may be necessary in the middle of winter to dump the whole lot out, change the water as it were, out through the middle, out the front. That's going to have some real challenges for the locals to get their head round. And I do believe, though, in Richard Brooking, there's a leader there now trust chairman who will take them forward and let the science have as much impact as history and some of the conflicting issues, some of it inter-family conflicting issues around land ownership, etc., etc. So there's it's been a staple of the council book since it was 89, Whakakī Lake. In fact, I think Liz Lambert, her first job when she came here as a planner was to try and work out the level that it should be let go at, and that was 18 years ago, and we're still talking. But I think in the evolution of the history, if you like, the new chairman with an acceptance and actually a craving for some of the science to underpin some of their decision making will make quite a difference. So watch that space. I do hope that at some stage in the near future, the council can go up there and have a look for themselves what's happening.
Yeah, no, I'd like to do that, and that was a much better report, and I listened to every word of it. I'm really now. Who is the?
I just had a
I'm gonna
question
totally
about the
concentrate.
CHB. Is that prosecution is scheduled, and the date and venue, and will we actually be seeing this one through?
Yeah, so first call was the 16th of January, but by agreement of parties, the date's been deferred to the 13th of February. District Council had some questions they wanted answered. So the 13th of February, the venue's probably going to be Waipukurau District Court, but I'll need to check that, given that that's where the alleged offending occurred. I was in that area. The 13th of February is a first call where they get to enter a plea, and from there proceedings will carry on in one direction or the other. But we'll keep you updated on progress.
Thank you.
Just proof the sessions proves that count. The chair listens to 1/3 of all things said.
There enough from you. Okay, that was it. There are no items, other items on the agenda. So, except we have a decision, we'll call this meeting to a halt. No, we have to, it's public excluded, isn't it?
Yeah,
So we have to
resolve to go into.
resolve. Can someone move us into public excluded? Thank you. Second, thank you. All those in favour? Aye.
Very good, guys.
Thank you.